যারা ইটালিতে আসতে চাচ্ছেন আর যারা অলরেডি ইটালিতে নতুন আছেন, আজকের এই ভিডিওটি সবার জন্য অনেক বেশি গুরুত্বপূর্ণ। ইটালির ডকুমেন্ট, ইটালির আইন কানুন এবং এখানকার মেডিকেল ব্যবস্থা থেকে শুরু করে সব কিছু যাবতীয় সকল তথ্য আজকের এই ভিডিওতে পাবেন। আর এই সকল তথ্যই কিন্তু ওরা নিজেরাই দিবে। বাই দ্য ওয়ে, আপনাদের সাথে সম্পূর্ণ ব্লগটা জুড়ে রয়েছে আমি মেঘলা। ইটালিতে এসেছি প্রায় 10-11 মাস হয়ে গিয়েছে, আর ঠিক এখনই হচ্ছে আমাদের একটা কোর্স করানো হবে। আর এই কোর্সের উপরে আবার কিছু পয়েন্টও আছে, যে কারণে কোর্সটা খুবই ইম্পর্টেন্ট আর এটা করতেই হবে। কোর্সটা ছিল প্রায় 5 ঘন্টার। 5 ঘন্টার মধ্যে ইটালির যাবতীয় যত ইম্পর্টেন্ট জিনিসগুলো রয়েছে সেগুলোই কিন্তু তারা আমাদের সামনে তুলে ধরেছে। তো 5 ঘন্টা তো আর ভিডিও করা সম্ভব না। তারা আমাদের বলেছে তোমরা চাইলে ভিডিও করতে পারো, কোনো সমস্যা নাই। তো আমি যেখানে ইম্পর্টেন্ট, যেগুলো আমার কাছে মনে হয়েছে এই তথ্যগুলো ইম্পর্টেন্ট, সেগুলোই কিন্তু আমি ভিডিও করে আপনাদের সাথে শেয়ার করেছি। এই যে 5 ঘন্টার কোর্স ছিল, সেখানে হচ্ছে তারা আমাদের ভিডিও দেখিয়েছে সম্পূর্ণ ইংলিশ ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজে। যেহেতু আমরা এখানে যারা ছিলাম সবাই হচ্ছে নতুন, তাই আমাদের ইটালিয়ান ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজে না করিয়ে ইংলিশ ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজে কিন্তু ফুল কোর্সটা করেছে। তো আপনারা যারা যারা ইংলিশ মোটামুটি ভালো পারেন তারা আশা করি এই সম্পূর্ণ ভিডিওটা দেখে অনেক বেশি উপকৃত হবেন। আর আজকে ভিডিওতে আমি আর কোনো বকবক করব না, সব কিছুই হচ্ছে এই ভিডিওর মাধ্যমে আপনারা দেখতে পারবেন। ওরা আমাদের হচ্ছে প্রথমে একটা নোট দিয়েছিল, সেটার মধ্যে হচ্ছে 5টা পৃষ্ঠা আছে। আর এই 5টা পৃষ্ঠার উপরেই কিন্তু 5টা ভিডিও, যেটা কিনা 5 ঘন্টা সময় নিয়েছে। তারপরে ওই নোটটাই কিন্তু আবার ট্রান্সলেট করে বাংলায় দিয়েছে। আর প্রথমে যেটা দিয়েছিল সেটা ছিল ইটালিয়ান টু ইংলিশ, আর এরপরটা ছিল বাংলা টু ইংলিশ। তো চলুন এখন হচ্ছে ভিডিওটা দেখা শুরু করেন। এখানে হচ্ছে একজন ম্যাডাম আছে, উনিও আমাদের কিছু আর কি ইনফরমেশন দিয়েছিল, আর বাকি ইনফরমেশন সব উনি হচ্ছে ভিডিওর মাধ্যমে আমাদের সাথে শেয়ার করেছে।
We've included them on this chart here. What do you mean by free market contract?
A free market contract is based on an agreement between those renting out the apartment, the landlord, and those renting it, the tenant. Such contracts usually last 4 years with an automatic renewal of another 4 years.
4 plus 4 then. What about the cooperative contract?
This type of contract is based on agreements reached between an owners association and the tenants association. The rent is usually lower than the market value, with possible tax incentives for the owner and much more flexible forms of contract. This type of contract varies from area to area depending on the agreements decided upon at the local headquarters.
So they're different from town to town. There are some standard types, however, that we could show as an example.
Yes, we can put them into 3. The third one is the contract for university students, which lasts for months. It only applies in cities that have universities and gives no tax benefits.
However, there are other situations where the contract is agreed on directly by the two parties.
Yes, these are 2 very specific cases. A sublet contract, where a tenant rents out part of the home to another person, and a loan contract, where the house is granted free of charge under specific circumstances.
Well then, the choice to rent a home is not to be taken lightly. Who can I go to for information and advice about my choice?
Well, there are 3 main services you should remember, all easy to find on the website shown on the screen. The Tenants Union, www.unioneinquilini.it, which represents the associations for anyone renting a home, and 2 unions, SICT, the Union for Housing and Land Tenants, and SUNIA, SUNIA, the Union for Tenants and Assignees. You can contact them sunia.it.
Now that we've finished the part about renting, we can look at buying a home.
Let me start by saying that as far as buying a home in Italy, it represents a significant expenditure. The hope is that sooner or later all foreigners will have the chance to buy a home, as it means that Italy has really become your permanent home.
Well, it's certainly a hope that we all have.
That said, buying a house or apartment is very complicated, and you should pay close attention to every step. My advice is to get help from an estate agent or a specialized association, as it is easy for buyers to find themselves facing unpleasant surprises.
What checks can you carry out before you buy a home?
Well, I put everything down regarding this issue on the screen. Necessary requirements for buying a home. It is fundamental to check for the following. The home is being built according to current standards. Ask the seller for the building permit and the habitation certificate. If parts that have been built or modified do not show up on the initial construction documents, you should ask the seller whether they have requested an amnesty for the infringement of local building regulations, and if they have such documents from the local council. You need to check that the property has been properly registered at the Catastro Land Registry Office, and check that there are no mortgages or secured financial loans on the property.
So this is so you can find out and make sure that the property you're buying corresponds to the law without any hidden surprises. What are their main responsibilities?
I'll put them up on the screen. As you can see, they cover all the needs that may arise in the condominium.
Can you tell us in concrete terms how any decisions are taken and communicated?
The most widespread system in Italy is the condominium assembly, involving all the owners of the apartments in the building. It's a judicial act where the landlord asks the court to issue an enforceable order that demands the tenant to return the property and the payment of additional charges. In the worst cases, you can even risk committing a crime such as the illegal stay of persons or the aiding of illegal immigration. Therefore, take the utmost care and learn from your landlord if you are in a position to sublet part of your home for rent.
What if I sublet with a contract and hope to get away with it?
As I said earlier, the movement of persons unknown in a condominium is easily noticed by other people living there. If you sublet without a contract, you risk committing a crime of unlawful objects, including bicycles, scooters.
আমাদের এখন কি বলবো পাউজা মানে ব্রেক 5 ঘন্টা ক্লাসের 2.5 ঘন্টা আমরা কাটিয়ে এসেছি তো এখন হচ্ছে আমাদের একটু ব্রেক দিয়েছে প্রায় 20 মিনিটের মতন তো আপনাদের ভাইয়া হচ্ছে এখানে আমার জন্য বাবুর জন্য আর হচ্ছে কেক টেক এনেছিল তো এগুলো হচ্ছে একটু কিছুক্ষণ খাওয়া দাওয়া করলাম আর একটু রেস্ট নিলাম আর বাবু হচ্ছে এখানে বসে বসে পাথর দিয়ে খেলাধুলা করছিল
আমেরিকা কানাডা ইসবি সাইড আর আমাদের সব শিখেন না আচ্ছা খেলো এটা গেছে আপনি রুমানি আর আমার কি জানবো আমারও
ব্রেক নেওয়া হয়ে গিয়েছে আর এখন আমরা হচ্ছে ক্লাসে চলে যাব বাকি ক্লাসটা করব এই যে দেখুন অলরেডি সবাই বসে পড়েছে তো এখন চলুন আরো বাকি যে লিসেনগুলো রয়েছে সেগুলো আমরা শুনে আসি
Paid days off during the year and at least 1 day off every week. Parental leave for either the father or mother to stay at home with their child whilst receiving a part of their salary. Pregnant women are obliged to stay at home from work for 2 months before and 3 months after the birth of their child whilst continuing to receive a part of their salary. In certain circumstances, you can receive unemployment benefits. Even if you return to your home country, but only when you have reached the Italian pensionable age, which is normally after 30 years of contributions and is a registered age of over 60. What we know as social benefits in Italy isn't only limited to your retirement pension.
Could you tell us something about Social Security in Italy?
Of course, but the payment of social security contributions towards your pension or against work-related accidents are a very complex matter, so I don't want to go into it too much, otherwise it'll just confuse our viewers.
Are there any cases where an employee doesn't pay taxes and contributions in the way we saw?
Yes, because the contributions are paid monthly by your employer only if you have worked continuously for them over a calendar year. In this case, the taxes are considered fully paid, so you don't have to make an income tax declaration.
Let's explain exactly what we mean by an income tax declaration.
An income tax declaration, also known as a tax return, is the way by which an employee or taxpayer declares how much they have earned over the course of the previous year and pay the respective tax.
Oh, so that's why an employee shouldn't fill out a tax return. They've already made their tax contributions via their salary.
Exactly, provided they don't have any other sources of income or revenue. In such a case, you need to prepare your tax return in the same way that employers or workers who have worked for more than one employee in the preceding calendar year.
Thanks, Adam. That all seems pretty clear. You were saying that a tax return, if necessary, provides access to the rights we spoke about earlier. I have a question though. Do these contributions always happen in the presence of a work contract?
Yes, in the vast majority of cases of paid work, you are paid by payslip, therefore by a payment required by the contract you signed. Some categories, however, have specific procedures, such as a cleaning lady.
We'll look into that a bit, since it's one of the most popular professions for...
Actually, it's tremendously important, and it's the reason why illegal right of the individual and of the collective interest guarantee free medical care to the needy. This right to health is guaranteed by the National Health Service.
Please explain what role is assigned to this service by Italian law.
The Health Service guarantees everybody the appropriate and necessary services for their protection, cure, and health recovery, ensuring a uniformity of access to benefits and services based on the three basic principles: universal care, equal access, and solidarity.
Universality, equal access to care, and solidarity. However, the health service is a complex system, so I ask all of you to look further into all the information that can be useful to new Italian citizens.
That's why I'm here, after all. Firstly, it should be stressed that the health service is not a single administration, but a set of institutions and bodies that work together to fulfill the objectives set by the Constitution. I've included everything in the next image.
Wow, it really has a lot of different branches.
Yes, it does, although in principle, foreign nationals should only have to deal with some positions in specific places, such as the local health authority, hospitals, general practitioners, GPs, and pediatricians, PLS, the doctor who takes care of children under 14, and so on.
We'll specify the different characteristics of each of these terms as we move on step by step through this episode. Let's start from the beginning. We know that foreigners present here legally and working are required to register along with their families for the National Health Service. How do you go about registering with it?
Well, to join the National Health Service, a foreign national has to go to the local health authority, ASLA, in your local area. There, they will issue a health card which must be shown to every health facility when asking for medical treatment.
Is ASLA subdivided at a provincial level?
Not exactly. The Italian territory is divided into health districts, each of which is controlled by an ASLA. In highly populated provinces, there are more than one ASLA, each of which deals with a particular part of the territory.
Which documents should I bring with me to complete my registration?
Registration with the National Health Service. To join the NHS, non-EU citizens must go to the local health authority, ASLA, where you live, and bring with you personal details of self-certification, a certificate of your registered residency or proof of your application for residency or permanent stay issued by the council where you live, a work contract should you be an employee, registration with the Chamber of Commerce should you be self-employed, your registration at a job centre should you be made redundant, one of the following forms, E106, E109, E120 and E121, should they have been issued in your home country. Your tax married to or provided for by an Italian citizen. If they are under 18 with parents residing in Italy, there is an office where you can refer to the choice of your doctor.
Can you change this choice once you've made it?
Of course, you could always change your choice by going to the same office. For the care of children from their birth until 14 years of age, you will need to choose a specific doctor known as a pediatrician.
Okay, what happens when a minor reaches 14 years of age?
At the age of 14, ASLA informs the child's family that they have to choose a GP for their child. However, in some cases, the child's family should contact the office beforehand to ask the same office not to withdraw their pediatrician until the child reaches 16 years of age.
However, one issue remains. What happens if a foreigner who isn't registered with the NHS requires the use of the health services, such as when they're illegally present here?
Well, the rules are quite clear here, and they were confirmed in a recent ruling in 2009, precisely because the health services in Italy are considered inalienable rights for foreign women and their children at a family counselling clinic. Here, women are helped with pregnancy, abortion, menopause, contraception, and infertility. They offer advice from a midwife and a visit to a gynecologist. You can see all these services listed here in this chart.
It's best we should get to know about this place as soon as we arrive in Italy.
I would underline the fact that each of these services is absolutely free, and I repeat, can even be accessed without a residence permit for anything regarding medical care and health services.
Among these services listed, we have yet to mention the issues relating to foster care and adoption.
Yes, because in such cases you need a document that you don't have.
Let's be more specific. If you don't mind, especially since this issue interests me personally, what's the procedure to request a doctor's visit for an observation or a checkup?
In general, to have an outpatient appointment with a midwife, gynecologist or family counselling clinic, you should book an appointment and go along with your health card. No medical prescription is necessary. In some regions, there are some areas dedicated to foreign or young women where you get immediate access without needing an appointment.
How much does this service cost?
The doctor's appointment is paid for by a ticket. This is a name given for the payment of any medical service in Italy, including hospital care. The cost depends on the service. However, it is free for midwife visits for women under 18, using the youth area, and for pregnant women.
Perfect, Adam. Don't forget that gynecological visits are free for people using the youth area.
Yes, that's true.
Good. I'd like to add one more thing. Very often, the problem for foreign women isn't to do with the ease of access to these services, but rather not having any confidence in them, since they are often unaccustomed to such procedures in Italy.
Yes, I quite understand what you mean. However, women who use the foreign women area have the help of a cultural mediator to help make things easier. Where there isn't this area, foreign women can access this service by making an appointment at their family counselling clinic or the pediatrics community at their ASLA.
Have made a request for social service or financial aid, who or what shall we have to deal with?
The key figures of this type of service is a social worker who is responsible for most of the decisions regarding the organization of practical services.
Social worker, what do they do?
Well, in general, they identify cases in need of services to fix their situation, but they have a rather wide-ranging role. Through interviews and meetings with individuals or families in difficulty, the social worker develops a detailed analysis of their problems and draws up an assessment of their situation and an individualized intervention plan.
And so they are able to develop the needs of both Italian and foreign citizens into practical action.
Yes, since a social worker knows their territory well, which for us is often distant and unknown, and above all they know the possible resources they can use to fix problems we might encounter.
So it's worthwhile trusting your social worker.
Absolutely. I should underline that a social worker is also bound by professional secrecy, so you can speak freely with him or her. Only by fully knowing your situation are they able to develop a plan tailored to your needs.
Okay, we'll keep this in mind. What kind of cases does a social worker work with?
In principle, it's all those people who find themselves in a difficult situation, from families and children to the disabled and the elderly. If there are any problems communicating with foreigners, a social worker, as well as all council staff members, can ask help from people known as mediators.
What do mediators do?
A mediator is a professional considered a bridge capable of easing meetings between a public worker and a foreign citizen. It's an important role which should connect the social and cultural needs of new citizens with the reality of their new life in Italy.
So now we've concluded the part concerning the two officials, the social worker and the mediator. All that's left is to ask who carries out the services in the territory and who will new Italians with problems have to deal with.
The council usually performs most of the services in collaboration with associations, non-profits, or those groups belonging to the social private sector, such as cooperatives.
Therefore, it's very likely that when you require help, you will have to deal with staff from associations or other organizations who may prove to be closer to you than the institution itself.
I see it the same way as you. The person who you will have to deal with in this case is a social and cultural expert, the employee of an association or cooperative who deals with the practicalities of your case inside the territory, from support to study and to job placement.
Well, we're almost at the end of today's episode. Would you like to add anything else, Adam?
I'd only like to repeat that all these social services provided by the councils and the state are much more effective when there is better collaboration between these institutions and the foreign citizens living in Italy. Help of this type can be really important for us foreigners, so you'll do well to trust in them.
I'm happy we can conclude this episode talking about trust, Adam. Our trust isn't just being able to find a chance of a good life here, but also trusting people and professionals we meet during our stay in Italy.
Yeah, indeed. I couldn't have said it better.
So here we can say goodbye. We've examined the world.
হঠাৎ কোথাও আগুন লেগে গেলে ফায়ার সার্ভিসের জন্য এই নাম্বারে ফোন করতে হবে।
Walking on the street, okay. This one is for women. Okay. Il numero da chiamare.
এখানে ম্যাডাম কিছু ইম্পর্টেন্ট নাম্বার দিয়ে দিচ্ছে, যেটা হচ্ছে আগুন লাগলে যেন ফায়ার সার্ভিসকে আমরা খুব তাড়াতাড়ি ফোন করতে পারি, তারপর পুলিশের নাম্বার, তারপর হচ্ছে গিয়ে ডাক্তারের নাম্বার, তারপর হচ্ছে জরুরি অ্যাম্বুলেন্স পাওয়ার জন্য।
Hello everybody, and welcome back again for the 4th episode of our series, which, don't forget, works as a course.
Children, even if born out of wedlock, Article 30 of the Constitution. All children are subject to compulsory education and entitled to enroll in schools of all levels, from Article 45 of the Presidential Republic Decree 397 of 1999. Even if the school year has already started, all foreign students are entitled to enroll and attend school even if their parents have no residence permit. Here you see that the first item in the Constitution regards the duty and the right to instruction. There has also been a recent decree that states that foreign minors, i.e. the children of immigrant citizens, have to attend school. This is compulsory. They also have the right to attend any type of school.
This article goes on to say two very important things, doesn't it?
Yes, the fact that being more than just an obligation, children actually have the right to join any type of school is important, as you might arrive in Italy when the school year has already begun, or if the student or the parents don't have a residence permit.
We should also remember that there are many documents, conventions, and international laws that affirm and underline the right to instruction. Just think of how important the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is, which was ratified by Italy. Article 26 states primary education shall be compulsory. Therefore, education is one of the fundamental and human rights of men and women. And remember that there are other articles in the Italian Constitution that insist on this point. Other than Article 30, which we saw earlier about the duty and right of parents to raise and educate their children, there is another important article that tells us that everybody, i.e. both Italian and non-Italian citizens, can go to school. And primary and secondary education is guaranteed free of cost as much for foreign citizens as it is for Italians.
Well, let's look at another chart that summarizes these articles. The Italian Constitution, Education, Foreign Citizens and International Standards. Article 10, the Italian legal system conforms to the generally recognized rules of international law. The legal status of foreign citizens is regulated by law in conformity with international norms and treaties. Article 30, it is the duty and right of parents to support, instruct and educate their children even if born out of wedlock. Article 31, the Republic protects maternity, infancy and youth, promoting the institutions necessary for such purposes. Article 34, schools are open to everyone. Primary education, which is compulsory and free of charge, is provided for 8 years at least. Those capable and deserving have the right to reach the highest levels of education even if they lack financial resources.
There is one particular item among these articles that relates to childhood and youth, as well as maternity.
Nursery school for 0 to 3-year-olds are not compulsory. It can be state or private education. Kindergarten school for 3 to 5-year-olds are not compulsory. Yes, let's read it and see that before primary school, a child can attend the nursery, which isn't compulsory, and then there is the preschool, which everyone knows as kindergarten. Again, it would be a great idea for your children to go there.
That's just what we were talking about, wasn't it? If children can go to a nursery and then to a kindergarten, they can learn how to be together with other people and get to know them. Level A2 Italian language proficiency certificate.
Well, in November 2001, a European Council resolution recommended the use of the QCER for defining the parameters used in evaluating a student's linguistic ability. In English, it is called the CEFR, which stands for the Common European Framework of
Decree of 4th June 2010 by the Ministry of the Interior. Who should take the test? Foreign citizens legally residing in Italy for at least 5 years, who already hold a valid residence permit and are at least 14 years of age. Since when has it been compulsory to take
Esame. Okay, take a picture.
এই ছিল আমাদের টোটাল 5 ঘন্টার কোর্স। বাচ্চারা সবাই বিরক্ত হয়ে গিয়েছে, তো আমাদের বাবুও বিরক্ত হয়ে গিয়েছে, সাথে আরও অন্যান্য ছোট বাবুরা ছিল, ওরা তো একদম কান্নাকাটি। যাই হোক, এই কোর্সটা করে অনেক কিছু জানতে পেরেছি এই দেশের সম্পর্কে, অনেক আইন কানুন নিয়ম এবং হসপিটাল সম্পর্কে, তারপর হচ্ছে এখানকার এডুকেশন সম্পর্কে অনেক ধরনের ধারণা দিয়েছে। তো আশা করি আপনারা যারা মোটামুটি ইংলিশ জানেন তারা হচ্ছে এই ভিডিওটা দেখে অনেক কিছু বুঝতে পেরেছেন। তো অবশ্যই সেটা কমেন্ট করে জানাবেন আপনাদের কাছে ভিডিওটি কেমন লাগলো। আপনাদের সাথে দেখা হচ্ছে পরবর্তী ভিডিওতে। সেই পর্যন্ত সবাই ভালো থাকবেন, সুস্থ থাকবেন। আল্লাহ হাফেজ।